we have a mess. He's vacuuming away. I wanted his presence to touch me. My hand up like this. We're not using the Holy Spirit the way we should. Are you mad at God? Create in me a clean heart, O Lord. So it's Christmas. We, the families all together, we have given each other gifts. And all of a sudden, I look into the family room where we've opened the gifts, and the floor is saturated with wrapping paper and boxes from Colombia and Brazil that say Amazon on them. And just unbelievable stuff. And all of a sudden, I realize we have a mess. Now, there's two choices you have. You can just ignore it. By the way, you ignore it, the mess never goes away. Or you can clean it up. My mother taught me this, and she wasn't the clean freak, but she says it's better to do things quickly and get it over with than to prolong it and have it drag on and on and on. So the boys and I, while Shelley goes and gets the turkey ready and all this, we get garbage bags, and one of my boys even went out and got a Canadian Tire bag because he thought that would work better. And we start picking up the mess. Now, in around 10 minutes, I'm going to come back to the rest of the story. So just hold on to that. Psalms. Are you ready? Psalms 51. Create in me, not restore in me, create in me a clean heart. Brand new heart. Not a restored one, a renovated one. Create in me a clean heart, O God. And then from that clean heart, not the old heart, the clean heart, renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast me from your presence, O God, or take your Holy Spirit from me. What is the opposite from being cast away from the presence? You have the presence. What's the opposite of taking your Holy Spirit from me? You have the Holy Spirit and his power. Restore to me the joy of your salvation. In the Old Testament, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Somebody says, I don't see it in the New Testament. Well, joy is under the fruit of the Spirit. And grant to me a willing spirit to what? Sustain me. Psalmist David, he starts off with create. From create, you renew. From renew, you do not cast away from God. You take the Holy Spirit to you. You restore, you grant, and so forth. So what happens is this. There's somebody says to me, well, how do I clean up the mess in my life? I see the psalmist David, who did not have a very good life, but he had a heart after God, but his family life was a mess. His kingdom wasn't the greatest. What do I do to clean up the mess? Now watch this. I've done them all in A's. Are you ready? You have to admit there is a mess to God and to your friends. I have a person who, and I won't mention his name, who comes out of a terrible background of alcohol. When he was a child, he was abused. The fact is this, he's never been able to land a career properly, and he was always telling everybody, I don't have a problem with alcohol, yet getting drunk, getting fired from work, losing out on his first marriage, stuff like this. He says, the first day to cleaning up my mess was when I admitted I had a mess to two people, to God and to a friend. And he says, then all of a sudden I had to go to number two. And I love number two. Are you ready? You have to acknowledge. There's a difference between admitting. See, a lot of us, we admit we have a mess. But acknowledgement is when we take ownership. Now, we recognize under acknowledgement there is a need for change, and I need God to help me. I need to help God. And then the last one, I need a friend to help me. Now, see, here's the crazy thing. I can admit to God and friend, yes, I have a mess, but I do nothing about it. How many of you remember your mother saying, clean your bedroom when you were young, you were a teenager, and your mother kept saying, clean your bedroom, and you never did anything about it? Raise your hands. I'm looking at the youth section. All your hands should be up. Don't lie in church, okay? God will get you. My mother would say, you cannot leave until you clean your room. And I would go and pull my sheets up and then walk out of the house. And when I got home, she said, you didn't clean your room. I pulled my sheets up. You didn't make your bed at all. You pulled your sheets up. Look at all the dirt. Look at the underwear on the floor that's decaying and all this stuff. See, here's the craziest thing. We need to come to a place where we not only admit, but we acknowledge ownership. And we say, God, you have to do this. You have to change us. You have to be able to do this. Let me take you to the third one. We need to admit, we need to acknowledge, but then we need to acquire the Holy Spirit. Let me give you an illustration of this. Acquire the Holy Spirit means do not cast your presence from me, but instead I am going to pray, worship, and seek you in order to get more of your presence on me. Jesus constantly did this. He would go away to pray so that he could recharge his battery. Acquiring the Holy Spirit means that you go, just like they did in the upper room. They went into the upper room for 10 days, and the power of the Holy Spirit came on them. Jesus did this in Luke chapter 4. It says, and he was led into the wilderness by the Holy Spirit. For 40 days, 40 nights, he fasted and prayed, acquiring the Holy Spirit. At the end of it, he was tempted by the devil 3 times, and he won that temptation really easy. Why? He had the Holy Spirit. So acquiring the Holy Spirit. So on Friday, I went for a drive, and I'm driving down the 401, and I'm just having the time of my life. The radio was off. My phone, I made sure was off, and I made sure nobody else was with me. And I just started, I never went to ask him for anything. All I did was I wanted his presence to touch me. And as I'm going down the highway, I started worshiping. I started praying, Lord, I want you to just touch me. I need your Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, just forgive me my sins. Anything that's in my way right now, and all of a sudden, over the next hour, the presence of the Holy Spirit came into my car. And the Lord just started to touch me. And I started speaking in tongues. I started singing. I started worshiping. I started laughing. The joy of the Lord. And I'm driving down the 401 doing my regular speed, 139. I am just having the time of my life. And I'm passing this BMW. And I look over. And here's my hand up like this. And I look over. And this guy... I want you to know something. When was the last time you stopped treating God like a sugar daddy and all you did was ask? When was the last time you just said, I want you? When the boys were little, we had mommy and daddy time. After supper, we would tell the kids, go play, do not bother us. And for 20 minutes, Shelley and I would go into the living room on the couch, and we would sit and hold hands and have mommy and daddy time. The kids were not allowed to interrupt us for 20 minutes, and I'm not going to tell you anything more, except it was wonderful. Can I share this with you? When was the last time you had God and you time? It wasn't you were praying for relatives or you're praying for a new job or you're going down your list of wants. You just wanted his presence to touch you and you wanted to touch him with love. And all of a sudden, when you acquire the Holy Spirit, then the actions of the Holy Spirit start working through you. I love this. Now pay attention. Are you ready? A crazy person will grab a garbage bag and just start throwing stuff in the bag. But let me share this with you. In every mess, nearly every mess, not every mess, but nearly every mess, there's always something valuable. And when you go through a mess, you need the Holy Spirit's actions and wisdom and guidance to get you not only through the mess, but getting rid of the mess. Here's my illustration. We know a family, and their relative is 92 years of age, and she just broke her hip or leg, and they took her into the nursing home for recovery, and now she's in a nursing home senior citizen for the rest of her life. And she knows that she's 90-some years age. So she says to the relatives, look, could you go to my place and sell the furniture or give it away? But she says, when you're in there, be careful. Well, the relatives show up with garbage bags ready to toss most of it out because she's collected stuff for the last 60 years. And all of a sudden, they remember her saying, be careful when you're going through stuff. Well, the whole thing is, well, let's just throw everything in garbage and toss it. Nobody wants her clothes. Her clothes are 60 years old. Look at her teacups. And all of a sudden, they remember her saying, be careful. Well, as they started picking stuff up, illustration in the kitchen, they picked up this can with a lid, and they shook it, and there was something in it, and they didn't know what was in it. It looked like just an old tin. And they pulled it out, and there were $100 bills, $2,000 worth. And then they checked under her drawer in the bedroom, and there was $5,000. And before long, as they're cleaning up the mess carefully, they started to find over $20,000 worth of cash. Now, somebody says to me, make that applicable to me. Okay, are you ready? Do you know every time the Holy Spirit has told me to clean up a mess, there's something valuable in that mess that I can keep in order to be a testimony to somebody else? Or there's something valuable in that mess that I'm cleaning up that will teach me a lesson so that I don't go back into the mess. And when I say the actions of the Holy Spirit, it leads me to the fifth one, accomplish in the Holy Spirit. When you accomplish an action and accomplishments together in the Holy Spirit will give you wisdom, discernment, and the fact is this, something that just looks like, oh God, let's just get rid of this. You'll be surprised in the future, although you got rid of it, God will help you use it in the future to teach somebody else or bless somebody else. David's going through a mess, and out of this came one of the most powerful poems that man has ever known. How many people have ever quoted or sang, create in me a clean heart, O Lord, renew a right spirit within me? How did you get such a beautiful poem, David? Because I took what the mess was, and the Holy Spirit brought out something valuable. That's His Holy Spirit action and His Holy Spirit accomplishment. Number 6, are you ready? Accountability with a friend. Remember, under acknowledgement, we tell God we need to change and we need Him to help us, but we also tell a friend. So in acknowledgement, when we acknowledge we have a problem, we start off with the friend. This is my mess, and I need to clean it up, and I'm asking you to hold me accountable. Now, when you start to clean up the mess, a lot of us, we lose incentive. Illustration, my bedroom when I was a teenager, I would get it half clean thinking it was clean, and it wasn't. I was lying to myself. I just wanted to get out of it. But my mother, she was my accountability, and she would say, no, don't you leave now until I say it's clean. And I knew exactly what her standard was. A lot of us, we lose incentive, we lose energy, we get distracted. And we keep this mess in our life. And eventually it just becomes part of us. Just part of us. But my mom would come up and she would look at the room. She'd say, okay, you're nearly finished, and I commend you on for what you've done, but now vacuum under the bed and just dust your table over there, and then you'll be finished. Okay, Mom, thanks. See, accountability. You and I are not islands. We need people. God created it that way. Let me show you a few illustrations, and these will bring the whole sermon together, okay? Watch this. Well, first of all, let me ask you this. How many of you like country music? Go hee-haw. Ready? How many of you like country music? Oh, pathetic. I hate country music. We have a pastor on staff, and he loves country music, but he also drives a pickup truck in Toronto. Okay, so there's a lady called Reba McEntire. How many of you have ever heard of her? Do you have a picture of her somewhere? Where's Reba? There she is. She's a born-again Christian, very vocal in her faith. And they were interviewing her because she's up for some Grammy award. And this is the 33rd time she's been nominated for a Grammy. And the craziest thing, they're interviewing her, and they said, so what do you think the key is? And this is what she said: the Holy Spirit was left behind to comfort and guide us, and I rely on that strength each and every day. I just pray that the Holy Spirit guides me, speaks for me, and helps me down those stairs. Then she goes on and says later on when they're talking to her, it's all God. He's the reason for everything I do, she said. I pray that I will find songs to record that will touch people's hearts and heal their hearts. Before I go on stage, I ask the Holy Spirit. You know that most entertainers will just say, God, General? No, Reba zeroes in. I ask the Holy Spirit to touch people in the audience if they need healing or comfort. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Reba, in 1991, she lost all the members of her band in a plane crash. And then in 2015, after being faithfully married for 26 years, she went through a terrible divorce in 2015. So they're talking to her about this, and she says, I feel him, God, all the time, every day. She said, God, help me through my divorce. When the plane crash happened, I never was mad at God, never was. People have asked me, did you get mad at God? I didn't. Everything happens for a reason. In my minuscule mind, it's not mine to ask or to judge. When I read this, I started to just break out laughing because I was studying for the sermon, Clean Up Mess. And you see a professional entertainer who has made it big, and she has no problem identifying it's the Holy Spirit. Later on in the article, she talks about before she goes on stage, she gathers everyone around her and she prays to the Father and she prays the Son, she prays the Holy Spirit, that the Holy Spirit's power will be upon them as they entertain. Can I ask you something? Have you been through a divorce? Have you lost a loved one like Reba did with the plane crash? Are you mad at God? Or are you letting the Holy Spirit clean up the mess so that you can turn around and bless people? See, here's the craziest thing, and I just say this in all love to us. A lot of us, we admit we have a mess, but we don't acknowledge, take ownership. When was the last time you fasted and prayed to acquire the Holy Spirit, His actions, His accomplishments in your life? The disciples come to Jesus and said, look, you sent us out to heal the sick, raise the dead, cast out demons, all this stuff, it doesn't work. And Jesus says, reason is you're not praying and fasting. Let me give you an illustration of this. Pastor, he's in a beautiful church, and 6 months before this date, the custodian came to him and said, Pastor, I have problems. I have Alzheimer's, severe Alzheimer's. And I'm going to lose my memory, I'm going to lose parts of my mind, but could I please work for the church until that day comes. And pastor says, you work as long as you can. So the pastor drives his car into the church, parks in his parking spot, and he looks through the window into the sanctuary, and he sees the custodian. And the custodian, who has Alzheimer's, he's vacuuming away like crazy. And the pastor says, I'm going to go and put my arms around him and commend him. Guy has Alzheimer's. He's losing his memory. But look at him, how faithful he is, vacuuming like crazy. Pastor goes in the lobby. Then he's going through the sanctuary door. All he wants to do is hug the custodian and say, you're doing a great job. And all of a sudden, as he gets into the sanctuary, he sees the custodian at the front vacuuming like this. But there was no noise. And he walks up to the front, and he stands beside the vacuum. And the pastor sees that, yes, the custodian's going through the motions of picking up the dirt, cleaning up the mess, but he forgot to plug in. See, here's the craziest thing. That's exactly what a lot of us are doing. We're lying to ourselves. We have a mess. We know what God the Father expects from us. But we keep sneaking out of our room instead of cleaning our room. And we're not plugging into the Holy Spirit. See, we're admitting, yeah, we have a mess, but we're not acknowledging, taking ownership. We're not acquiring the Holy Spirit, plugging in. And we're not using the Holy Spirit the way we should. And therefore, we're not accomplishing what we should accomplish, but we still have the mess. Here's the truth, and I don't say this to be rude to you, but some of you, at the last Sunday of 2019, you still have the same mess you had in 2018. And for some of you, it's the same mess you had 2017, 2016, 2015. And maybe the Holy Spirit has you here today to say, would you plug into the Holy Spirit instead of doing the motions? Start to really clean up the mess. Reba, you should be mad at God. God took you through a nasty divorce after being faithful 26 years to him. Reba, you should be mad at God. Your whole band got killed in an airplane. No. I need the Holy Spirit. I need the Holy Spirit. I need the Holy Spirit. Friends, there isn't one mess that I've gone through in life that didn't have some value that God used later on to bless. But he wanted me to get rid of the mess. Are you ready? A little poetry. He wanted me to get rid of the mess so I could bless. Can I just share this with you? Don't lie to yourself. I still hear my mom, Billy, get back in the room. The room is not clean. Mom, it is so. No, it's not, Billy. When it is, you can leave. Don't let hell make you believe something that's not biblical. If there's a mess, the Holy Spirit wants to help you. And there are godly friends who want to be there with you. That's the truth.